So how, when you did your first private money deal, how did you get over that? Because obviously, I don't know how much money you brought into that, but like 110K, I don't know how much of that was, but let's say it was just 60, 70K. I don't know. That's still a good chunk of money. How do you overcome the fear of like losing all your money, or because that's the fear you have, I'm assuming, with a private money lender, right? How do you overcome that? Like how do you say it's going to be okay, everything will work itself out, especially on a
Yeah.
deal like that where it's not working out?
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, there's two fears always. The fear of, the you're not gonna get your money back in time. So the length of time that your money's out is one fear, because you could have been expecting to get your money in 6 months, and then instead you end up getting your money in 12 months. That can really hurt someone who, again, is lending private money that is something they need. See, the thing is with private money lending is you want to make sure that you're using money that you can go without for several, either years or months even at a time, maybe even more, or money that you're willing to gamble and be okay losing for the upside of what you're getting, because if you're risking 100K to triple that 100K, then that's a risk worth, you know, putting 100K up for. And if you're willing to wait the 12 months to get that, triple digit return, then so be it. But you have to be willing to know that anytime you put money up, you might as well just count it as money that you can lose. And if you're not okay with that, if you can overcome that fear, then you're never going to get into private money lending. So overcoming that fear is the first thing, but then the fear that lingers is, when am I going to get it back? How long it's going to take? Can things go wrong? That sort of thing. So the way that I try to cope with that, and the way that I got good at doing it, is I went through investing myself. So what I initially did is I would take my own money and go do my own flip first, to figure out how that felt lending on my own deal, right? And figuring out how to get myself out of it,
Interesting.
how to get it to the finish line, that sort of thing. So, and then figuring out how the whole deal process works. What is a good deal? What is a bad deal? How do I know if the deal has a good exit? That sorts of thing. So I got really good at vetting a deal from front to end, meaning someone bringing me a deal, making sure all the numbers pencil out to where it actually makes sense to lend on the risk, where the asset itself is better than the risk that you're lending in. In other words, if the borrower defaults, you're in a much better position than if he was to perform. I found out that that formula up until now has worked so good that I've out of the 5 years that I've been, well, 4 years out of the five that I've been doing it, it's only happened two times where the default had to occur, but actually made more money than if they were to perform. It took longer to have that money in my hand, but it was way more, way more. Actually,
What happened? Can you tell us those stories? I'm curious.
yeah, so it's your normal situation, right? Person got a deal, they got the numbers, they did all their work, did all the pencil out of the deal, found out some solid comps, and then they started the project. Midway into the project, I guess they didn't do enough research around their surrounding area, because a lot of people, they just look at comps, but what they don't look at, that flippers should never do this. If you're a flipper, don't ignore development near your flip. They're not comps, but they will be comps by the time you're done with your flip. So what ended up happening with this situation is the flipper got the deal, slam park deal, ARV beautiful, comps were beautiful. Turnaround time was like 12 months, maybe. That was like minimum 12 months. It was an entire gut. Well, by the time they were done, a bunch of brand new houses were up on the market for literally a steal price where he couldn't sell his house for higher because it wouldn't make no sense. Why would someone buy a 20 plus year house for more than a brand new spanking house with the same square footage, if anything more? So it was that
Why
type
did
of deal.
why did the developer do that? Was this post the interest rate hikes, or
Well, no, no, no. It
why?
wasn't. It's the developer didn't do anything. The developers just they were able to put those houses at the price that they were able to put it because they were able to, I guess the what they put into the development project versus what they were getting by selling these houses one by one was super profitable for them. They probably got the land for dirt cheap, and the development probably, they do this for a living, developers. I mean, this person probably was super, that's probably wasn't even their first one, so they were very conservative with their construction and everything, and so they were able to price the house easily for like 310, for like 32, and it was very well priced in that area actually for the surrounding houses. So what ended up happening with our flipper is he ended up going through everything, and through the mid, I would say about somewhere between the 10th month of the project, he realized very quickly because he kind of saw what was happening. He didn't know what the houses were going to list for. So the one when they listed the first house for sale after it was done, he then realized, crud, that's what I was trying to sell my house for. How am I going to compete with a brand new house? Yes, my house is remodeled, but it's still 20 years old. And all these things that, that he had to compare. So what ended up happening was he ended up going into the rehab even more. He ended up going into adding a pool to the house just to literally make it go further as a more appealing sale price than the brand new house. Kind of almost giving add value to buying this house versus the new one. So what ended up happening is he ended up not selling it in time. It was just not selling. It was like 6 months on the market. I was just sitting there waiting for this deal to come through. This was literally just 3 months before the whole COVID blowout thing happened.
You've been lending
So
for a long time. I didn't know you've been lending for that long. You've been lending
yeah,
since
for like I've been
pre-COVID?
lending for a little over 4 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, like going, I would say technically when I started for myself on my own project, we can say 6 years. But once I stopped lending on my projects, I was purely only lending to others. It's close to that 4 year and a half range. But what ended up happening is when I went for the default on this house and everything, I knew that I was gonna just be able to not break even. I was still gonna make a little bit money on top if I was to still sell it at the price that he was trying to do. But for the most part, I knew I was gonna sit on it for a little while. I knew I started to think about like exits. Okay, maybe I can rent it, maybe I can lease option it, maybe I can do a creative finance with it. But dude, I only had to sit on it for like 5 months. And during that time, I was obviously just taking a loss. At that point, I was like, maybe this is not going to work. But it was like around month fifth or sixth when the market was just going crazy for me. And the property started appraising just literally because of all the brand new houses that were around it started to go up. And so I went on that spike trend with COVID. So I ended up still selling the house, but I ended up making a way more money than I had to wait longer. So between the holding costs and everything that I had to wait for, I still end up pocketing literally the same amount that the flipper would have pocketed if he had flipped it without any competition or whatnot around him. But
So
it was
wait,
just one
I'm
of those
confused.
things.
Was it from fees, or what made it where you got more money? Or was it the extra
The
interest?
the my market, like where I was, houses started to just go up in price. Like it was
No,
like,
right, but like you're the lender, so you don't get money based on the appreciation. You just get it based off interest of whatever you lend. No?
well the thing is, so that's the thing. He was paying me interest. So I got to keep those interest payments, but I ended up having to do an attorney, a realtor attorney default on him. So I ended up actually having the house sent over because It got to a point
Oh,
where he
you
couldn't make.
foreclosed on him.
I foreclosed on the house because he couldn't make the interest payments
Oh,
anymore.
damn.
So I got to
Okay,
keep all
gotcha.
the interest that he paid up until the point he couldn't. Gave him the window
There you
for
go.
him to be able to perform, but he ended up defaulting. I ended up taking the house over. I had to sit on the house a little while, but I ended up riding that market bubble, and I ended up selling it for way more than what he could have sold it at the time that he had it in his possession. So it turned out to be a great deal. I actually felt super bad for the individual. I actually wrote him a gift card, and I sent him like a couple of
You sent him
$1,000.
a gift card?
Yeah, I sent him a gift card. It
Somebody
was like,
that you foreclosed on. You had to send him you sent him a gift
yeah,
card?
because
That's
he
so
was a
funny.
good person. Like, it had no, he was. It wasn't like he was unethical. It wasn't like he was a bad person. He was just a horrible luck, horrible situation. He took his loss, and I banked so much. I was grateful for him, right? So I literally sent him a couple of presence his way just
That's
because
really
I felt so good that it turned out so well. And it's like sometimes you got to look at the positive
Yeah, I mean,
of
he
the like,
lost a lot of money. He still had to do all the rehab and pocket all that stuff, right?
yeah,
So
he still he I mean, even with what I sent him, he still didn't break at all. Even like what I sent him was just like out of just like, I felt
pity.
so bad, I wanted him to not lose sight of maybe the next flip. But yeah, he completely helped me with going into the strategy of always making sure that you go into a property knowing that the default is better than the performance on the property. So now every time I go into a deal, I'm okay with being second lien position as long as the asset itself is within the risk of what I'm able to take, whether if I'm bringing in 100,000 on a second lien position, but the property's worth like 1 mil, okay, that's great. I would take that risk all day long. I can essentially with the hard money in first lien and my money in second lien, if they default, I just acquired an entire $1 million property for 100K.
How
That's
hard
how I
is
look
it to
at it.
default, just in
Huh?
general? How hard is it to default? Or I'm sorry, to
It's
foreclose.
So it's not so it's hard if you don't know what you're doing. It can take a couple of weeks, months if you don't know the right person. You have to I already know two good attorneys in Florida, so it's really easy for me to just step right in. But it was my first default was I it took me forever. Like I said, it was months in order to get to where I wanted. And so once I got that out of the way, I was able to build a relationship with that attorney. And I said, listen, for anything that happens to me like this again, I want to have you on speed dial. And so I built that relationship with him, and we've only had to go into the two defaults together twice, but it was essentially the best decision that could have happened to me with those defaults. But it's not hard. It's just you have to know the right person, and you then have to know the steps. If you've never gone through the steps, it's going to take you way longer. But once you've gone through it, for me, two is perfect. Like that's all the experience I needed to know what to do for the third, fourth, and fifth, because they will come. They will be a third, fourth, fifth. It will happen. And a lot of private money lenders that go into it thinking that nothing can happen, that's when they lose it, and they lose their cool, and they lose their focus, and things just don't end up turning out at all whatsoever good. They get impatient, they get anxious, nerves run, stress runs, and what you're doing is you're blowing a bunch of steam and getting nowhere in the solution that you're trying to fix. So yeah, but
Gotcha. I'm hoping I never need you, because but it's good to know that somebody's gone through it, right? Because I've got actually a lot of money out right now. I had a assignment that was going to be cut really big unless I seller financed it to them. So I technically, although it's not my money, it's money I could have had. I have like 125K out right now, and I'm pretty sure it's fine. He's still got 5 months to get this thing on the market, and the market's going upish again. So I'm not concerned I'm going to lose my money. I'm just going to be, yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's a weird situation though, because I sold it to him on a land contract. So I technically still own it. So I'm curious how you foreclose on that, or if I even need to foreclose. or if
Well, I mean,
month 11 hits, I just own
you
it.
can always reach out to me and we can talk about it if you ever get
Well, right
there.
now
Just like keep it out of
he's within
mind.
his loan. He's within
Yeah.
his loan. He's got another 5 months.
Yeah. I would say it's
The,
just I honestly try to keep it out of mind as much as possible because when you start like, speaking it or thinking about it, I feel like it can actually
just collect
consume
the
itself into
extra.
what you wanted.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna collect the interest. It's right now, dude. It's at a 17% interest right now. It's wild.
Woo!
It's wild
Nice.
right now because he was not supposed to
Nice.
take that long. Because what I did was I bought it. So I have a loan, a hard money loan for 250K. Then I wrapped it at 125K higher. So they charged me 10% for the first 6 months, and now they changed it to 15%. So I was charging him 12% for the first 6 months, and now he's at 17%. So it's 2% difference on 250K, then it's 17% on my 125K. So it's a good
Got you.
return.
Yeah, that's creative finance right there, man. That's a
It's
private
like
money
2K.
lender. Like,
It's like
yeah.
2K.
Sometimes it's worth doing it, even if you have to wait a little bit longer.
It's
Like
nice
as
getting
long as
2K a month
yeah, dude,
in
like
passive income. That's pretty cool. It's
that's what I
just
love about it. I
I really like
love being
this.
able
I
to
like this
like
comment. Is that legal? It is
it
legal
is.
as long as I mirror the terms. I just have to make sure I mirror the underlying loan. So I
Right.
made sure that it ends. He's not paying principal. No, there is no principal. Hard money loans are just interest. So it's all interest.
All interest.
Yeah. It's not illegal to do an interest only loan.
It's
right?
actually
Like
nice that you were able to mirror it and add your stuff on top. Like that's creative. That's
it's
I've
the
done a
most
couple
creative
of
deal
that
I've
like
ever
that.
done.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it's
cool.
good. That's when you're really just like making it as a
I just
private.
really want that 125K. I could use that for some interesting stuff right now. So it's kind of annoying. He's taking a little while for the rehab, but I'm not at that point of worrying. I check in with him and he's like, yeah, probably July is what it looks like. I'm like, all right.
Well, you're
That's what it is.
in a good honestly, you're in a good situation because the market is starting to stabilize itself and sort of thing. And
I
feel
also
like
bought
it's
this
actually
insanely cheap, dude.
yeah.
I wholesaled for 125K. I sold it to him for 325. The ARV on this thing was 700. So it
Nice.
needed a lot of work, but I can't imagine him losing money. I can't imagine me losing money. If I got the house back, I would make like an insane amount of money, I think.
No, yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying. As a private investor, if you know how to be an investor, first off, because a lot of private money lenders, they're just regular people with 401ks or private money. And so a lot of them don't really know anything about real estate. So a lot of them are very fearful about lending in. But this is what I do. I have about 16 or so mil in private money partners that lend through me. And the reason they lend through me is for one
I
reason
thought you were
and
about
one
to
reason
say,
only.
I got 16 mil in the bank right now and I'm lending out, baby.
Oh no. So I have a lot of money out. I think I have like 700K or so out right now. But the private money lender pool is a lot bigger than, and if I actually count how much of that is out, I would say probably a good 7 mil of that private money pool is actually out right now in like different states. But they literally leverage me for one reason and one reason only. I can do everything that they can't. I can vet the deal, I can analyze the deal, I can position the deal in their favor. So what I do is I become like the middle person for the private money lenders and the borrower. And what I do is I pretty much negotiate terms on behalf of the private money lender with the borrower, take any counters, and then go back to the private money lender again and figure out a win-win situation, middle ground where they both are satisfied and bring that deal to a close. And I only do this in the sub two community, literally just straight up sub two. I don't do private money lending outside of that much at all. I probably have like one deal that's out of the community right now, literally just one, but the rest is all within sub two. And normally I, hook up with specific individuals that I know perform on a monthly basis and have a huge credibility within the community, have a status as well, which I use as a collateral, because that's the great thing about my mentorship that I'm in, which you're in as well, Jonah. You pretty much
Yeah.
know how important it is to have a leadership role within the community and be able to just like influence and help so many people. And no one wants
Yeah,
to ever
if
fall
I
off that.
lose 300K of Marco's money, he's gonna put me. I'm done. Everybody knows. Everybody
Everybody in
knows
the
I
community
screwed
would
that
know no
up.
one would want to use Jonah.
Nobody would want to do a deal with me. Everybody would stop watching Scorch the Fears. He could nuke me basically. So that's an
Yeah, it would be
interesting
a
idea.
total nuke.
It's a reputation collateral. I like that.
Yeah,
It's
because
an interesting
aside the
thing.
asset, you have like this other collateral tied to it, which is like, so important for, a lot of leaders, and I think it goes so well together. And so the cool thing is that a lot of the private money lenders can eventually build a one-on-one relationship with these individual borrowers if they want and feel comfortable leaving my protection and going on their own, which is eventually what I want all my private money partners to do. Some of them are just not willing to. Then and is honestly the fear. They I guess they feel more comfortable me who has fears all the time doing private money lending transactions, doing it because I'm more experienced and I can tolerate the fear a lot better than some other private lenders can. But it's been such a fun journey. I remember when I first started this in sub 2, I was able to raise only 700K in capital money. And literally 8 months after that, I was able to go up to a million that year. And then 2 years later, I was able to go to 6 mil. Now I have 16 mil all together that's willing to lend that at the moment's
Wowzers.
dime on the right deal. And it's just like, to me, it's such a blessing that people can trust me that much. And it's not like I've broken trust with them or anything. They just trust me that much because of the fact that I'm a leader myself in the community, helping people get their first deal and me being able to bring funds to get that first deal done or connect them to someone like yourself, right? I bring you leads all the time of new people that are literally trying to get rid of their sub 2 or whatever, and just connecting you and that person gets to get a win, you get to get a win, I
And I
get to
use
get a
you
win
as a
because I was
lender.
a part of that.
And
Yeah,
then I use you
so
as a lender. Yeah, I mean, I just real quick, I know we're going over and I want to go into this though. How do you find private money lenders? Everybody's trying to know. I know how I found some of mine. I don't have even close to as much as you. I probably have like 250K right now or something like that. That's like verified. I know they'll put in the not EMD, the wire. There's maybe like a million, but I'm like those other 750K. I'm like, probably not. Probably might not. So it's really 250K. So how do you find those lenders? How did you do that?
So at first, it was just honestly going to real estate sub 2 network meetups in person. It's just meeting people, giving them a little background of what I do and things like that. And then I realized how much quicker it was through social media. So literally getting people on postings, you know, giving a post, letting people know this is what I can do for you, this is what I've done, reaching people through DMs. And then the other part was just like promoting it, putting it on IG or putting it on a post in the creative free group or the sub to free mentorship private group, and then more in person real estate network meetups. That's where I found between the two, being a hybrid online and offline, I was able to take both sides and go faster because there was people that I was never going to be able to meet because they were in different states. So even if I did go to my local real estate meetups, I wasn't going to meet them. So I decided, what if I start traveling and doing meetups at different locations? So I went to Arizona, went to North Carolina. I've been to Denver with you. I'm going to Michigan here soon in July for a network meetup there. I've been to the Atlanta meetup. And so I started to go to different places, Arizona, right? And I end up getting to reach more and more people. And really, the way to land private money is very simple: consistency. So you got to show consistency and you got to show that you know what you're doing, right? The way you show consistency is by showing them honestly, like proof of concept, right? I did this, 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 this. Look at what each one of these did. Look at what each one of these, And then the other one is you got to know what you're doing. A lot of people, when they go for private money, what they do is they just send like DM, like, hey, I'm looking for private money on this flip, blah, blah, blah. And then that's it, right? The real private money capital raisers, the way they send stuff to private money lenders is through performas and trying to open up a relationship with that person. So normally how I approach private money lenders, I approach them on a friendly conversation of I'm into real estate. What are you doing into real estate? And we create a dialogue together. I don't even ask for money. Just having that dialogue lets me know if that person has money or doesn't have money because I structure the conversation in a way where they might bring it up. Once I know that, I put it in the back of my mind. This is their name. This is their last name. Let me get their contact. Let me get their socials. I will come back and I will reach them at some point. Some private money that I land, I get a week or two later, or even a month later. It doesn't happen that same day. And a lot of people expect that private money should just be on a dime and that person should look at your deal and just lend because it makes sense. That's not how it works. You need to build trust. And if you're not building trust with your private money lenders, they're not going to lend, right? They're just not. It doesn't matter who you are. Even if you were Pace and Pace approaches someone randomly, like you want to lend 500K on this deal, and they might know Pace. They're just not going to lend just because Pace asks. They're going to have questions. They're going to want to look at things. They want to have proof of concept. They want to hear other people's experience with you, all that. So what I did, and this is working a lot, is now I have my private money lenders do a testimonial for me, all of them. So they do private testimonials. And now what I do is when I approach a new private money lender, not only do I show proof of concept, I show them feedback from private money lenders that are still working with me and still making money. And they'll see those videos and things like that, right? I send them to a specific place. And then they immediately understand where I stand, what I do, and they're more prone to actually looking into lending with me on a deal or lending with someone that I vet on their deal. So that's kind of how you do it. It's kind of just honestly approaching them in a way that everybody doesn't approach them, because if you're approaching them like everybody else, you're just going to get the same answer as everybody else.
I love it so much, bro. That was freaking awesome. I love the method. It's a real method, right? Like showing that you're real, right? And that's just, I literally deal with the same thing with my agent outreach of being like, guys, like, you got to approach people differently than if you're freaking than everybody else. If you reach out to an agent the exact same way everyone else reaches out to an agent, you're not going to get a deal. Same way how Marco was able to raise 16 mil in private funding because he didn't reach out the same way. He used proof of concept. He showed what he does. He shows that he knows what he's doing. And guys, you got to be starting building a referral base for whatever business you're in. So I love it, man. I'm all here for it. We're like 15 minutes over and you're going to have to edit this out. And I don't know which parts you're going to want to have to edit. We didn't even get into the social media. You're probably going to have to come back on here, right? And we got to just do a social media podcast because, guys, he's my social media manager. Yes, he's a private money lender, but he also does social media. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. I don't want to go too much over. So there's always a question I end these podcasts with, which is, if you were to go back, I want to go back to when you started your social media business. If you were to go back to when you were starting your first business, social media business, what would you tell yourself now? Or what would you tell yourself then, knowing everything that you know now?
What would I tell myself then that I know now? Honestly, I would go back and I would tell myself, you need to be putting all these extra funds into real estate. I wish I had another 8 years earlier of real estate, because it's crazy to say this, but my agency I've had for a while now nets me really good money annually. But my real estate in just the 5 years or so that I've been doing it is 60% on its way to reaching my 100% earnings of my agency, which I've put close to 15 years plus in that, and in less timing, literally almost 2 times less timing. I would be surprised if in 2 years I haven't met already the same amount that I make in agency in private money lending alone. That's what I would tell myself. I would just honestly tell myself, you need to get into real estate earlier and just go full throttle on it. I wish I can go back and do that. That's what I would do.
I love it. I love it so much. My man, you have so many different things I want to promote for you, but I'm going to let you do it yourself. What do you want from my audience? We've been like going through from like 6 to 9 people throughout this entire thing. From the audience that's watching and then the people who are watching after you edit this, what are you looking for? What do you need? Do you want more private money lenders? Are you looking for more social media clients? Like what stuff can we plug for you, and what services are you offering, and what do you want to leave the people with?
Well, honestly, man, there's always room for more private money. So if you want a private money lend and you don't know how to do it, you don't know if you have, the right amount to be starting to do it, you have questions about it, you can literally reach me at Marco Money Gems is right, below in the corner here. That's my IG. I'm on Facebook as well. So you can search me, Marco Rivera as well. And reach out if you want a private money lend. I got you. I have some of the best hours in the industry that know what they're doing. And if you are interested in me making you as awesome as Jonah is on social media, DM me as well. I mean, I work with just about anybody, no matter where you are. If you're just starting, if you don't have any idea of what you're doing or what you want to do, I go from branding you to creating a brand for you, all that stuff. So I have everything. If you don't have nothing to bring and you just need someone to guide you, I can do that. Jonah's been doing this for what, over a year now? Just over a year?
I've been doing the podcast for over a year. I've been
Yeah.
working with you for
No,
5,
just a
6
few
months.
months. I know. But you've been doing it alone for almost close to a year.
A year and 5 months. I started Scorch the Fears the beginning of 2022. So that was
2022,
my
guys.
first real social media stuff.
He's been doing it alone. And in the few 4 to 5 months that we've been working at together, we've been able to double his followers on YouTube. Actually more than double his followers on YouTube. He's about to hit his goal.
YouTube, you fucking probably at least tripled, probably quadrupled.
Yeah.
Instagram, you've tripled. I'm pretty sure I had about 1,000-ish.
That's almost,
And now we're at
tripled.
3,260.
And we're about to crush it in July. July, dude, you guys are gonna see Jonah fly to heaven. He's
hot.
Gonna just
It's hot boy summer, guys. It's hot boy summer. The abs are coming out.
But yeah, guys, just reach out. If you guys want to reach out to me specifically about private money lending or social media, make sure you reach out to Jonah. Jonah will give you the hookup. He'll give you all the information to reach me personally, and we'll work from there.
They can just reach you. Just say that you got it from Scorch the Fears.
Or that,
you already have your Instagram handle up there. Yeah, just say you met him through this podcast. Just because say you saw him on Scorch the Fears, say you got it, he'll hook you up more than if you weren't. If you just reach out to him randomly and it's not through something that I'm doing, he's probably
you're a complete stranger to me.
He's got $16 million, guys, in private money. He's got shiznaz to do. He's just gonna refer you to one of his VAs or something. If you hit him up and say you came from this podcast, he'll actually be like, oh my God, you came from that? Okay, now I'm gonna give you the full treatment. You're gonna get a call from him. He'll send you a rose or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I don't want to say too much because I already wrapped him into a challenge when he was in Denver that he wasn't prepared for. I'll keep wrapping him into stuff, and he's like, well, I guess we're doing that now. But seriously, guys, you do everything for me, dude. I'm thankful to you. Seriously, I love the fact the freaking logo is him. This is all him. He flew out to Denver, set everything up. My mic, this thing is him, right? So he's like a social media consultant, manager, everybody. You're freaking kill it, bro. So you deserve this. I'm excited to make stuff happen.
Thank you,
yeah,
brother.
man. So
I appreciate it.
Everybody, if you want private money lending, social media, whatever it is, reach out to him on Instagram. It's on his @Marco Money Gems. If you want the treatment, say it was from Scorch the Fears. If you want like a good treatment and all that, and Yeah, man. What do you have any last words for the crowd?
No, thank you so much for coming out, all of you who are watching. I appreciate you supporting, obviously, the podcast. It means a lot, and I appreciate you coming out to see me.
Cool. All right, guys. Next week we got Rob Sema. He is the Gator Lending Tribe
Nice.
leader. That'll be a fun one. We've got some cool people cooking in the kitchen that I'm working on right now. I'm working on Steve Trang. I'm working on a couple of other high-level people. I'm hitting up Chris Jefferson. He hasn't responded to me yet, but we're getting some cool people on the podcast.
It's a good thing I got here early. I don't want to be their follow-up.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna end it here, guys. Scorch the Fears. I don't even know what episode this is anymore. I'm gonna have them put the episodes in there. I think we're all aligned here, stuff like that. Marco, thank you so much. Let's freaking go.